What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Inside the Studio. In the studio, super excited to bring you a kind of a random podcast. It's rare that we get some of our mental health coaches in the studio. Mostly it's people doing workouts, but we have on none other than Kimber. And so we want to take advantage of this time and to just kind of ask some questions. And so before we get started, I want you to introduce yourself to the folks.
Okay. Well, Dawain just called me random.
Great start to the show.
That's all right, though. Yeah. So I'm Kimber Brokon. I'm one of the mental fitness coaches here in E2M. I'm from the Midwest, live in Illinois. Actually was a member before I joined the team as a mental fitness coach. So January of 25 will be 2 years for me. So
nice.
Yeah.
A little bit about just being a member first, because that's a perspective that I don't know if all of our listeners or watchers know that that's a perspective that you have. Talk about that.
Yeah, well, I like to say the mental fitness coaches, we do the work too, right?
I like that.
My slot every week is Thursday mornings, but I'm following the program just like anybody else. And when I say just like anybody else, I mean just like the common person is following the program. So I'm not perfect. We all kind of hear the coaches talking about nobody's perfect, and so that's kind of how I feel like, even though I'm a mental fitness coach, I'm right alongside each and every one of the rest of the members in the group because I'm not a fitness coach. That's not what I do every single day to where, everything can kind of stay tight. But yeah, when I first joined, there was a gal in town and she had posted every time, signups at the time were there, and I was interested a couple of different times, but I was ready come January of 23, just locked in. There was something about, I don't know if it was that time of year. My first goal was a vacation. We were going to Riviera Maya on June 1st, and I just decided I wanted to feel the best I could on vacation. And so that was my focus, and lost 50 pounds in 5 months.
Well,
that was important.
Yes.
That because I was under chiropractic care for my back, my low back. And I still to this day I'm gotta be careful with some of the jumping types of things. I can run, but the bouncing in place is my back doesn't like that. So in the beginning, I wasn't able to get down to do the circuits. If I had to get down, it was going to take me too long to get back up. So I modified everything standing. I love the standing abs. So with modifications and with not being able to go real heavy on the cardio right away, I was able to still lose 50 pounds. And that's amazing. I'm going to just another little bit of disclosure. That's being a menopausal woman, right? So I say that because by nature, I'm a menopausal woman, but because I have to use some hormone replacement, I'm not always.
Okay.
But that makes the body trickier, I think. I'm not an expert in any of this, but it's trickier because I can be doing great, and then the hormones can kind of fluctuate, and then I'm not feeling so great. And so I've got to go. I've been on and off modifications, I would say, for almost 2 years. So
that's awesome.
I love the fact that the program, the community, the way that we do what we do, allows us to fluctuate. It allows us to flex with just whatever, is going on in life. So
yeah, I think that's really cool because actually the new circuits in the new program, Jeff caught the idea of, if you're going to be down, stay down. Like, so we have circuits that are on the floor the whole time.
Love it.
And we have circuits that now, if you're up, you stay up.
Love it.
So
thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff.
So he actually he thought about that. Okay. And as soon as you said that, people that watch me on the Bad Podcast, I cross my fingers. That's an old podcast trick, so I can remember what you said in that moment. And so that's something that as soon as you said it, I crossed my fingers because I knew I wanted to bring that up because that's part of trying to consideration of people that have to modify and have a hard time getting up and getting back down. So that's really cool. Yeah. So I really love that you have that experience, and I know that's key when it comes to. There's a lot of the fitness, especially in our program, it has to be a sense of relatability. They have to be able to trust what you're saying and your advice because, what is a session like? What is one of your classes like? Is it all motivation? Is it, dealing with how do you approach, our clients when it comes to your sessions?
Yeah, well, what I try to do, and obviously with the new program format,
Sure.
it'll be a little different. So
Yeah.
I got a little something in my hip pocket that I'm working on, and we'll
Okay.
see if it flows with what
I
Jeff's
like it.
going to ask us to do when the new program launches. But with the way the program was, and we had the weekly theme, but always to formulate a message that included those themes. But that went a little bit broader,
Okay.
right? And so the mental fitness, the mindset part of what we're talking about really comes into play, I think, in everything. I mean, so many times I'm doing my workouts and the coaches are saying things, and that's helping my mindset in that session.
That makes sense.
And then you've got the mindset around whatever changes somebody's making in their diet and in their nutrition, whether they want to make that change or they just know they need to. And so they're creating new habits. So I kind of try to weave a lot of different things, not just program related examples and applications, but life examples and applications. But yeah, I mean, it's really, I try to do a theme over the course of a stretch of time.
Sure.
In addition, things just maybe not that long. I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see.
Right.
But where it ties in from one week to the next, it ties in.
No, I like that.
Sometimes give a little bit of homework, but I never liked homework personally.
Yeah, me neither.
So I don't give a lot of it, but
Good.
The homework that I would tell people would be non-negotiable is get into the habit of journaling.
Okay.
Because that's a reflective process. And that is absolutely something that's going to help you as far as continuing to set goals moving forward, celebrate the successes that you're having. And to put on, if anybody coming into the program would say they struggle with emotional eating.
Right.
I mean, everybody eats emotionally to some extent.
Okay, that's a good point.
There's a difference between we're celebrating something. Hey, let's go out to dinner. There's some emotion in what we're doing, right, around that meal. Versus I'm so out of touch with my emotions. I don't even know what I'm feeling. And I'm in this automatic habit of grabbing for food or grabbing for drink and maybe not even tracking, how much did I eat? How much did I drink? And, then we're just sort of doing that.
So is it better to be conscious of your emotional eating? Like, I know I'm upset. I'm gonna go get this.
Okay, so I'll tell you a story. It's been quite a few years ago, but it was shortly after my husband and I were married. So we were newlyweds, but I had a habit, and I do it still to this day, of grocery shopping on Fridays. And at that time, the grocery store was just kind of down the hill from where we live. And it was summer, and we have an ice cream place called Whitey's, and they do a chipper, right? So it's chocolate chip cookie with ice cream in the middle. And one day I just thought, I'm going to buy one of those, and I'm going to eat it on my way home. It's just a treat, right? And then I made that a habit without deciding to make it a habit. It was like, oh, here I am, and let's have a chipper again. Well, so one time I thought, well, I'm going to buy one for the ride home, and then I'm going to buy 2 to stick in the freezer, and I'm just going to put them in the back of the freezer for just whenever. And so fast forward, there's a particular day we're having some sort of a disagreement. I mean, it was significant that who knows what it was.
Right.
But I went downstairs and I opened our freezer, and it was like this light bulb went off because I realized in that moment what I was about to do.
Yeah.
And I said out loud, and I'm doing it one more time. And I grabbed the chipper and I went and I sat on the couch and I ate the connection. Okay, girl, you've been doing this every week now for how long? And maybe you were doing it those days just for some treat or reward or whatever. But today you grabbed this because you're frustrated. So the conscious part of it is not that we are going to stop it altogether.
Right.
But it's being aware so that you can make a better choice the next time.
Okay. That makes me feel better because
a better choice the next time.
I'm aware when it happens, and so, I didn't know it was a thing, and then when somebody was like, emotional eating, like when I got into E2M and started listening, I was like, oh, that's the thing. Like there's a connection. But I'm glad you mentioned that everything, like everybody goes through emotional eating, whether it's, for an event or whatever. So that was really good to hear. Yeah, I like that a lot. As far as like, just when it comes to fitness and the importance of having the right mindset, because you see on social media, the guy with the headphones, he say I'm working on my demons, and like they kind of using workout. What's the correlation with the physical activity and the mental, and then actually just taking something like watching one of your classes and like actually dealing with the mental by itself? What's the significance of the two?
Sure. Well, anytime we're moving our body, there's a connection to the brain. And so I think that's where the encouragement from the coaches, when you're working out either in a live class or to the replay, the encouragement from the coaches is helpful, because what you're doing is you're pairing movement with something positive. I know that a lot of times people will do, they'll work out to like the angriest music possible, because there's something about that makes you try harder. But can I tell you, it's reinforcing anger?
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna cut you off. Okay. I used to joke and say, if I had to do a hard workout, I need somebody cussing at me. Like that used to be what I used to say that.
Yeah. Well, and there might be some situations where this doesn't translate because there's something else going on in a person's mental health and well-being. But essentially, we're reinforcing the negative when we pair it that way. So what I really like about the workouts in our program is that it's always paired with positivity. It's always paired with encouragement. It's always paired. Every single coach, whether they've got a little message going along or just, reminding you that you can do, maybe you can't do it yet, but you'll eventually be able to do it.
Right.
The other thing I would say too, is that just movement helps emotions metabolize.
Okay.
So really, if you are struggling, if you're having an emotionally frustrating day, going for a walk as a way to process what you're thinking or what happened, or maybe you're going to vent what occurred that day, but you're going to do it while you're moving. What that helps to do is move that emotion out of your body. Because when we don't, either we don't talk about it, or all we do is vent it, or we emotionally numb it through food, drink, scrolling, on our phones or TV or something like that. That emotion just stays in our body, stays in our muscles, stays in our organs, stays in our tissues. It's just kind of trapped in there.
So venting don't relieve that?
Okay. So venting,
hint, wink, wink.
Yep. So there's a certain point where venting is no longer helpful, right? So sometimes you might say, I just have to vent. And that's you getting it out.
Okay.
But then it's, what do you do with it from there? And the person listening, how are they feeding your vent? Because if you're venting and they're going, yeah, and that was wrong, and that, and they're kind of feeding that, well, then it's perpetuating. You're just sort of reinforcing.
Yes. Wow.
But if you say, okay, I need to vent, and then I'm just gonna walk away from this, right? And you separate the venting from this is something about what happened. What's this telling you that I need? What do I need to do next? And so sometimes when people vent, it's a rehearsing and it's over and over again. And so I vent to you, and then I go vent to my husband, and then I go vent to my neighbor, and then I go vent to my friend. And next thing you know, I've just reinforced the very thing that I don't actually want to be thinking, feeling, or dealing with.
Right.
So,
wow.
And I will say this too, when it comes to processing, there's such a thing as internal processing and external processing. So some people are more internal processors.
Sure.
They're going to think about it, chew on it, contemplate all the things, and then decide what they're going to do, and then do something. And sometimes they won't even tell you.
Right.
An external processor needs to talk it out so that they can find their way through it.
Sure.
So that it brings them to the end of the processing, and then they know what to do. So if you have an external processor in your life, just listen. Don't feel like you have to keep track. Because a lot of times you think, wait, they were just talking about this and now they're over here with that. Don't worry about it. Just when they get done, there's anything you need from me? Because sometimes an external processor just needed to process it out.
That makes sense.
It's part of how they moved through.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I'm definitely an internal And I think my wife is an external.
My husband and I are the same. My husband and I are the same. And then he'll make a decision and think he told me, and he never told me.
Man.
I'm like, dude, you process that inside, but then you got to tell me.
Yes, absolutely.
Tell me what you decided.
That is a common conversation.
Yep.
I thought I didn't tell you. Like, no, you did not. Oh, my bad.
Yeah, in your mind you told
us. I
did. But you didn't say it out loud.
Yeah, no, that's I love that. That's golden. Okay, so we usually keep these around 15 minutes. Anything you want to leave the folks? It's obvious by now, by the time this drop, a lot of change, a lot of opportunity to vent and revent, and all of those things. Just with that in mind, is there anything you want to leave with folks?
Yeah, I think with that in mind, what I would say and what I would hope, and whenever this is going to be shared, I don't know how much time will have passed, but and even as Dr. Carolyn and Jeff talked about in the video that was shared, we do have to, our feelings come up. We do have to be able to identify what am I feeling and where is this coming from. But my biggest encouragement would be don't stay stuck there. Make a decision. And I feel like from what I'm kind of seeing is people are getting closer to the place of making a decision. Sometimes we make a rash decision. Well, I'm never going to do this, or I'm done, or I'm whatever. And then we can rethink that. But if a person is just continuing to stay frustrated, stuck, angry, whatever they're feeling, they have to at some point take the responsibility to say, okay, that is over. And now what am I going to do now? And that's actually a technique that I teach people when we're teaching them to reflect is, so we say, what, so what, now what?
I like that.
What happened? So what's that telling me? What's that stirring in me? I think a lot of people that are really having the hardest times with what's going on with E2M, their feelings may not be as much about the changes in the program as the changes in the program triggered feelings in them that are about something totally different.
Right.
And that's a therapy session. So I would encourage people, if that resonated with them, to do some journaling on that. But if it is stirring something else up that maybe is not so much about E2M, it's just that's where you're putting the focus.
Sure.
Then that would be good to get that clear.
I love it.
So what's this telling me? Now what? Now what do I need to do about this?
Yep.
Right. And there does need to come a point in time where we say, okay, everything's been said. This is what it is. And so
now
where are we going from here? And that's just true no matter what situations we're in. Because some things we can't control, a lot of things we can't control.
Absolutely.
But we have to look at, well, what can I control? What can I do with what I have, resources wise, time wise, authority wise, whatever the situation might call for in our life.
Very true. Well, listen, I appreciate your time. This was fun. I hope I made it easy.
Yeah, great. I won't tell anyone your secret, Dwayne.
Look, I didn't even have to reference it though. That was a cool part. Yeah,
you didn't even use that.
That was all up here.
All right. I'm even more impressed.
There you go. Good stuff. All right, y'all. We hope you enjoyed today's Inside the Studio episode, man. And till next time, we're out of here.
Bye-bye.